All right, these are the assembly tools for accumulator assembly. This is a 3/4 inch wrench. This is a 3/4 inch bent wrench for the top side of the accumulator. This is the spanner wrench. This is a 36mm deep socket with a torque wrench attached to it. This is a soft face hammer, or you can use a dead blow. This is a bladder pull rod. This is a special tool for installing the O-ring. Note the curved face of it so it will not pinch the O-ring. And this is a flashlight. All right, this is a bladder, unibladder. This is a gas side lock nut. This is the gas valve with gas valve protective cap. This is the seal pack. You have a flat ring, an O-ring, and a backup ring. And note the backup ring has a special surface on it to grab a hold of the O-ring. You have a gas port adapter. You have an anti-extrusion ring. You have the gas port spacer and the gas port lock nut. You have the same seal pack for the fluid side as well as the gas side. This is the fluid port. This is the fluid side anti-extrusion ring. Fluid side spacer and lock nut. And fluid port seals, sub-seal. It's always important to remember that you start out with a clean shell. The best thing to do is to flush it out and wash it out if you have the resources to. All right, the first thing we're going to do before we rebuild this accumulator is we're going to roll the bladder to get all the air out. And loosely install the gas valve. All right, now we're going to lubricate the bladder using system fluid. After you've squirted it on there, just take your hand and rub it in. It's necessary to do both sides and get around the corners really well. Next step is to install a pull rod onto the gas valve stem, onto the gas valve, and then onto the gas valve stem. Next thing to do is to fold the bladder in 3 sections, as this way, and install it in the accumulator. Maintain your 3 folds all the way in. Very important to make sure that it doesn't get twisted, because that can cause to premature failure. After it's been installed, you need to look in there and make sure that it's sitting like a boat and it's not twisted. Slide the fluid port in and take your anti-extrusion ring, bend it in half, install it in the hole, and then you grab the fluid port in, slip it over the edge of the anti, and bring it out the fluid port side of the bottle. All right, Our bladder has now been installed in, and our fluid port has been installed. Now we're going to remove the gas valve pull rod. Install the gas port adapter. Remove the gas valve. Install the gas valve lock nut. I'm just going to use our 36mm socket to help spin it on. Install your gas valve loosely. Install your bladder pull rod. And then we're going to install the anti-extrusion ring on the gas port adapter. To do so, you take it, put it around your gas pull rod, bend it, push the gas port adapter inside, slip the anti-extrusion ring inside, slide the anti over the gas port adapter and pull it through. Alright, the next step we're going to do is to fill the bladder up with 20 psi, 15 to 20 psi of nitrogen, and set the seals in on both the gas valve side and the fluid side. So just something that I do to make it easier on myself, I take the gas side lock nut and spin it on to the T gas port adapter, just so I don't have to worry about the gas port adapter falling inside. Next step we're going to do is we need to open the gas valve. So that way we can introduce nitrogen into it. Okay, all right, now we're going to install the gas valve extension onto the gas valve. And we're going to introduce nitrogen into the bladder. While this is filling up, the purpose of this is to set the seals in, and it allows everything to sit perfectly inside the ID of the shell opening on both sides. As the nitrogen is being introduced into the bladder, the nitrogen is going to push and expand the bladder to push towards each one of the components, the gas valve, adapter, and the fluid port, and cause it to seat inside the ID of the accumulator. And what I mean the seat is the anti-extrusion ring is going to be seated inside the ID of the accumulator shell. You can see how it works itself into the middle spot, how it's done just like that. This is the fluid side of where I was just mentioning that the bladder has helped push the anti into its spot. And you can probably hear this side as well. Now it's in the middle, ready for seals to be put installed. All right, now we're going to discontinue installing nitrogen in. We need to remove the gas valve extension. And close our gas valve. You can do this part by hand. And then once you have stopped it, you can tighten it up. And go ahead and remove the gas valve lock nut, because the nitrogen will not allow it to go inside. See? First thing we need to do is lubricate these seals. Just take a damp cloth with oil or system fluid and lubricate them. First thing we need to install is the flat ring. Push it all the way down. Second thing we do is install the O-ring. Push it in as far as you can with your fingers. Then you go back, and I always do it 180 degrees from each other. So top, bottom, side, side, and then I cut the difference. So it's all the way installed. Next thing you do is you take your flat ring, your backup ring, the groove towards the O-ring, install that, push it in as far as you can with your fingers first, and then the same thing, go 180 across from each other. And you can go all the way around. Next thing you do is install your spacer, followed by the gas side lock nut. I tend to put a little bit of anti-seize on there. And you can just put it on there until it stops. All right, now we're going to set the seals in on the fluid side. The first thing we do is lubricate them. System fluid. So we install our flat ring first. It's very important that you push this one in all the way on both sides. If you don't, you can take a chance that your O-ring will roll over the top side of it. Next, install the O-ring by hand. Then do 180. Split the difference. Backup ring with the groove towards the O-ring. And then install your spacer and fluid side lock nut. Once again, it's a good idea to use anti-seize on this. Next thing we're going to do is go ahead and install the seals for the fluid connection onto the manifold. We're going to install the big one first, big O-ring first. After it's lubricated, then the backup with a groove towards the O-ring, and then the O-ring out all the way in. And zoom in on that. The next step we're going to do is use the spanner wrench and our dead blow or soft face hammer and lock it down. Lock it down until it's firm and the specifications are in the manual. Now we're going to lock down the gas side lock nut until it's firm. Then once again you can check the torque specs in the manual. Next thing we're going to do is torque the gas valve It's very important whenever you're doing this to look at the gas stem and make sure that it does not turn when you're torquing it down. Alright, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to torque down our gas valve. Use your bent wrench to get in there and grab it. And just torque it till it's firm. Install your yellow cap. Caution cap. And then now install your gas protective cap. And now we're going to take a measurement between the gas port lock nut and the end of the gas port adapter, and that number should be greater than 0.20.